Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, class 8. Yesterday, we started our first unit, unit number 1, A Shot in the Dark. Just have a quick glance on the characters of the story. Philip Slatherby, Mrs. Saltman Jago, Bertie, and Claude People, Casey. A shot in the dark means a guess with very little or no assurance as to its accuracy, or it is an attempt that has little chance for success. We did the reading of paragraph number 1 yesterday. Philip Slatherby travels in a train to meet Mrs. Swartmanjago. He decided to join some luncheon party organized by Mrs. Swartmanjago. And he is going there to get some political favor from her acquaintance. Slatherby wanted to be a candidate for the MP election in the Eastern Division of Yorkshire. As she had invited him, that lady had invited him on a friendly luncheon party at her country house, he counted on for nominating him. He is there to get an approval. Among the passengers scattered about on the platform, awaiting their respective trains, Slatherby spotted a club acquaintance, beckoned him up to the carriage window for a chat. Dotted about means scattered. There were so many people on the platform, and he saw one of his friends. He called him, and they were having a chat. The friend said, "Oh, you are staying with Mrs. Saltman Jago for the weekend, are you? I expect you will have a good time. She has the reputation of being an excellent hostess. She'll be useful to you too if that parliamentary project blow you off. Goodbye." Slatherby waved goodbye to his friend, pulled up the window, and turned his attention to the magazine lying on his lap. He had scarcely glanced at a couple of pages, however, when a smothered curse caused him to glance hastily at the only other occupant of the carriage. His traveling companion was a young man of about 22, with dark hair, fresh complexion, and a blend of smartness and disarray that is typical of a rambler. So there was a man, a boy, whom he had seen in the train, but Philip is showing no interest in what that man is doing. The silence in the compartment was spoiled by the smothered cries of that young man, and he was looking for something. As Mr. Philip Slatherby did not show any interest, but in his despair, let's see what that young man does. And it seemed that he was coming back from some hiking, from some expedition. He was searching furiously and ineffectually for some elusive or non-existent object. From time to time, he dug a sixpenny coin out of a waistcoat pocket and stared at it ruefully, sorrowfully. Then recommenced the futile searching operations. He was searching for something, then took out some sixpence out of his waistcoat pocket, and then again started searching for something. A cigarette case, matchbox, keys, silver pencil case, and railway ticket were turned out onto the seat beside him. And what was coming out of his pocket? A cigarette case, matchbox, keys, silver pencil case, and railway ticket. But none of these articles seemed to afford his satisfaction. He cursed again, rather louder than before. It seemed that he was not at all happy with all these things. He wanted something else. The vigorous pantomime did not draw forth any remark from Slatherby, who resumed his scrutiny of the magazine. But Philip didn't pay any attention. He was again having his newspaper. "I say," exclaimed the young voice presently, "I say, didn't I hear you say you were going down to stay with Mrs. Saltman Jago at Brill Manor? What a coincidence. My mother, you know." "See, we guess from here that he was the son of Mrs. Saltman Jago. I'm coming there on Monday evening, as we shall meet. I'm quite a stranger, haven't seen mother for 6 months at least. I was away yachting last time she was in town. I'm Bertie, the second son. You know, I say it's an awfully lucky coincidence that I should run across someone who knows my mother just at this particular moment. I have done an awfully awkward thing. You have lost something, haven't you? Said Slatherby. Not exactly, but left behind, which is almost as bad, just as inconvenient anyway. I have come away without my coin purse, with 4 quid in it, all my worldly wealth for the moment. What's it? It's a slang term for British pound sterling. It was in my pocket, all right, just before I was starting, and then I wanted to seal a letter, and the coin purse happens to have my crest on it. Crest is the royal symbol, royal family symbol. So I whipped it out to stamp the seal with. Whipped it out, took out quickly. And like an idiot, I must have left it on the table. I should have put it back. I had some change loose in my pocket, but after I paid for a taxi and my ticket, I would only got this little sixpence left. I'm stopping at a little country inn near Brunt Cave for 3 days, fishing. Not a soul knows me here, there, and my weekend bill, tips, cab to and from the station, and my ticket onto the bill that will mount up to 2 or 3 quid. Want it? If you wouldn't mind lending me £2.10 or three for preference, I shall be awfully obliged. It will pull me out of a hole. So, what does that young man want? He explained the whole situation in despair. He was glad that the narrator was going to spend his weekend with his mother, Mrs. Sorpenjago, at Brill Manor. The boy said that he hadn't seen his mom for last 6 months. He was Bertie and he had lost his royal seal and the money purse. He needed 3 quid for his brief stay and ticket fare to his home. He was on a fishing expedition. So if he is giving him some money, that would that would definitely pull him out of a hole. Pull him out of a hole means that help him to recover from this difficult situation, to find a solution of this difficult situation. I think I can manage that, said Slithery after a moment's hesitation. Thanks awfully. It's jolly good of you. What a lucky thing for me that I should have chanced across one of the mother's friends. It will be a lesson to me not to leave my purse lying about anywhere when it ought to be in my pocket. I suppose the moral of the whole thing is don't try and convert things to purposes for which they weren't intended. Still, when a coin purse has your crest on it. What's your crest, by the way? Slatherby asked carelessly. Not a very common one. A demi-line holding a cross-bracelet in its spot. But when your mother wrote to me, giving me a list of trains, she had, if I remember rightly, a running greyhound on her notepad, observed Slattery. There was a ting of coldness in his voice. Ting of coldness means that he had doubts in his mind. Why he was having the doubts at this time? Because about the crest, Bertie is telling it's a demi-loin, but the crest with which he got the letter from his mother was there was a greyhound. So that is contradictory. Crest symbols, royal symbols, family symbols are different. That's the jaguar's crest, responded the youth promptly. Demi-loin is the serpent crest. We have the right to use both. He is explaining that they have two symbols, two crests. But I always use the demi-loin because after all, we are really serpents. There was silence for a moment or two, and the young man began to collect the fishing tackle and other belongings from the rack. Fishing tackle, fishing equipment. My station is the next one, he announced. I have never met your mother, said Slatherby suddenly. Though we have corresponded several times, my introduction to her was through political friends. Does she resemble you at all in feature? I should rather be I should rather like to be able to pick her out if she happened to be on the platform to meet me. So he is having a trap now for Bertie by asking how does his mother look like, although he knows she's supposed to be like me. She has the same brown hair and high color. It runs in the family. I see this is where I get out. Goodbye, said Slithery. You have forgotten the 3 quid, said the young man, opening the carriage door and pitching his suitcase on the platform. Pitching? Flinging. I have no intention of lending you £3 or 3 shillings. said Sletherby severely. So he is not at all ready to help him anymore. Why? Because he has doubted him. But he said, I know I did. My suspicions hadn't been roused then. Though I hadn't necessarily swallowed your story. Swallowed? Swallowed here means believed. The error about the crest put me on my guard. They urged me, notwithstanding the really brilliant way in which you accounted for it, in spite of the story that you beautifully told. He is thinking that it was just a story that he is telling about the two crests. Then I laid a trap for you. I told you that I had never met Mrs. Solpencheco. As a matter of fact, I met her at lunch on Monday last. She is a pronounced blonde. Bertie told that she had brown hair, but actually, Mr. Philip had met her and she is a pronounced blonde, remarkably pale yellow colored hair. The train moved on, leaving the so-called son of the Solpenchego family cursing furiously on the platform. So-called, supposed in the eyes of Philip. You see that Mr. Slatherby agreed to lend, but asked him what was his crest. The young man said it was Damilon, holding a cross bracelet in its paw. With a tinge of coldness in his voice, Slatherby said that his mom had written Greyhound Current on her notepaper. The young man said they could use both. Damilon was Saltpin crest and Greyhound was Jago crest. The young man said that he always used the Damilon. He also added that he was getting down in the next station. Slatherby asked him if his mom resembled him. The boy said that she had the same dark brown hair like his. When the boy was about to get out, he reminded Philip of the lawn of 3 quid. Slatherby said that he had met his mom, who was a pronounced blonde. The young man stamps his feet furiously. Well, he hasn't opened his fishing expedition by catching a flat. Chuckled Slitherbys. Chuckled, giggled, made fun of, laughed at him that he's not at all a good person, a good man at catching the fish. He would have an entertaining story to recount at dinner that evening. Now, Philip is very happy. Philip Slitherbys is very happy that at dinner today, at evening time, he will tell everyone how he saved himself by not giving the money to this man. And his clever little trap would earn him appreciation as a man of resource and astuteness, and the people will think that he is a very clever person. He was still telling his adventure in imagination to an attentive audience of dinner guests when the train drew up at the destination. Drew up at his destination means arrived at his destination. On the platform, he was greeted sedately, calmly by a tall footman and noisily by crowd people, an important lawyer who had apparently traveled down by the same train. Hello, Slatherby, you're spending the weekend April? Good, excellent. We'll have a round of golf together tomorrow. As here we are, here's the car waiting for us, and very nice too. The car, which one thought people's approval was sumptuous-looking vehicle, which seemed to embody the last word in energy, elegance, comfort, and locomotive power. Now that man is praising the car, telling the qualities of the car. Its graceful lines and symmetrical design mask the fact that it was an enormous wheel structure combining the features of a hotel lounge and an engine room. Different sort of vehicles to the horse-drawn carriage in which our grandfathers used to travel, exclaimed the lawyer appreciatively. And for Slatherby's benefit, he began running over the chief points of perfection in the fitting and mechanism of the car. Slatherby heard not a single word, not one of the details that were being elaborated. He was not at all interested in hearing the details about the car because his eyes were fixed on the door panel, on which were displayed two crests, a running greyhound and a demi-loin holding in its paw a crosslet. One of the doubt was clear about Bertie, that Bertie was not a liar. He was telling truth, that he really belonged to royal family. He was really the son of Saltman Jago. Slatherby heard not a single word. Claude People was not the sort of man to notice an absorbed silence on the part of a companion. Claude People was very jolly kind of person. He wanted his companion to be the same. He had been silent himself for nearly an hour in the train, and his tongue was making up for lost time to accomplish something that wasn't done in the time one originally intended to do it. Like in train, he wanted to have a gossip, but he couldn't. So at this time, he wants to have political gossip, personal anecdote, and general observation flowed from him in an uninterrupted streams as the car sped along the country roads. Just as the car turned in at the Brill entrance gate, Claude People captured Sletherby's attention by switching his remarks to the personality of their hostess. Now about Mrs. Salfanjago. Brilliant woman, level-headed, sensible, a clear thinker, knows exactly what to take up an individual or a cause, exactly when to let him or it drop. Influential woman. I wouldn't dare upset her, but too restless, no repose. Good appearance too, till she made that idiotic change. Change? Cured Sletherby. Cadmeans inquired. What change? What change? You don't mean to say. Oh, of course. You have only known her just lately. She used to have beautiful dark brown hair, which went very well with a fresh complexion. Then one day, about 5 weeks ago, she excited suddenly everybody. She shocked everybody by appearing as a brilliant blonde. Change of hair color. Another doubt. Quite ruined her looks. Here we are. I say, what's the matter with you? You look rather ill. So what happened? You've seen that a tall footman had arrived at the railway station to receive Philip. A luxury vehicle was parked. The footman, Mr. Case, explained a lot about the car, but nothing entered his brain as he saw two crests on the car's door panel. Greyhound and a demi-loin, holding in its paw a crosslet. The second blow follows when he told that Mrs. Stolpen Jago used to have beautiful dark brown hair which agreed well with her complexion. And she shocked everybody by changing her looks as a brilliant blonde. She had ruined her looks. Suddenly Mr. Slatherby turned pale, and that man asked if he was ill. That's all for today. We'll do the comprehension part tomorrow, and I advise you to read the whole lesson at least 2 to 3 times to make it clear and to understand the comprehension questions. All right. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.